It's Good News Tuesday, and as always, Chris Abel is here, bringing the good news, bringing the tech. Real Chris Abel, KRISABEL, realchrisabel.com, and on the socials, you can get connected with his YouTube channel as well. And we are talking about robots. Now, the cool part about this story is that it's so different for everybody to listen to, Chris, because here in Ottawa, where I am, ice storms make people give shivers because they've been through the big ones, the power lines toppling over, the ice is too heavy, that kind of stuff. For everyone who's listening in Kelowna and the West Coast, they're like ice storms, like it's not the same here, and so it is different. Windsor, for example, again, also different. So I have a friend who is a power lineman, whatever they're called. Like they go up on the helicopter and they fly up and they
Engineer,
do,
maintenance worker. Yeah.
yeah, they do all that. And so they do that stuff. Now, could you imagine if you didn't have to send a human on a helicopter to fix those things? That would be cool. B, uh, ice storms, all of that. A little robot, could you imagine, could just go and clean it off so it doesn't fall over. There's some cool stuff happening.
Yes, this has been developed in China. We don't often think of China as being a wintry kind of country, but of course they have large sections of China that are far up into the north. And for them, a lot of their power line networks exist in areas that are very, very difficult to get to. So you can imagine that after a major snowstorm, we have, of course, lots of emergency maintenance crews that go out to clear the streets, to clear the sidewalks. Whereas you described, you have to have teams that go out and clear power lines. Because if you have a buildup of ice, then you have the risk of power lines being collapsed. When you have blackouts, you have emergency situations where people are going to lose their electricity and their heating in the middle of the cold. It can be very difficult, though, to get out to power lines, especially when you have bad weather and try to clear them of ice. So in China, they've developed the coolest thing. It's this little dual team. So first it starts off with a little quadricopter drone that flies out and uses cameras to inspect the power lines, to take a look at just how bad the buildup of ice is on those power lines. It's using both cameras to take a look at the power lines, but also artificial intelligence to be able to analyze them, to see what the prospective problems are. And then when a problem area has been found, the best part is you don't have to send human beings out there. You can have two guys sitting in a nice warm truck watching this from the cameras on the quadricopter drone. And when that finds a power line that needs to be cleared of ice, the quadricopter's drone flies above the power lines, hovers, and then it rappels down this little tiny robot that lands on the power lines. And it looks like it's balanced kind of like a trapeze artist. And then it's got a little weights and poles to kind of counter it on either side. It uses the wheels then to kind of ride the power lines like a zip line. The best part is that it latches onto the power lines, this little propeller system that uses blades to chop the ice along. It just looks so cool. You got this little robot riding and skiing on the power lines, the little blade rotating back and forth, and just little chips of ice flying back and forth and off the power lines, and doing this rather quickly, even in the middle of a snowstorm, even when you've got low visibility, you've got fog, you've got smoke, you've got all sorts of things happening. These little machines can go out and clear the lines and keep everything nice and safe and prevent the power lines from going down. It looks so cool. I think it's one of the best uses I've seen of drones, and especially little tiny robots. I keep talking about lots of robots, but I think this is one of the best uses I've seen.
As long as the little robot goes wee as it slides
Yeah.
down and chops the ice off, I'm sold. More
Yeah.
AI, more robots with Chris Abel. This time, making your dinner, Chris.
This is amazing. So we've got a restaurant that is opened up in China that is completely operated by robots. They've got an entire team of robots. They have robots that are designed just to make each individual meal. So you've got one robot that just is an expert on stir fry. You've got another robot that's an expert on making dumplings. You've got one robot that's just there to clean the floors of the restaurant. It's really cool how automated it is. And in fact, it's been set up in a town in which there's a community of senior citizens. And they say that this is set up so that when senior citizens come in, it's easy for them to use. Every bowl that you pick up has instructions as to what to do with the bowl so that you can go to the robots and get your meals and sit down. They've got little tables that are especially designed with handholds in them for those who have problems getting in and out of seats. I think that's great. What shocked me though is that at the front of the restaurant, when you first enter, they've got a special robot that stops you and scans your face and then scans your tongue. You stick out your tongue, and it scans the surface of your tongue. And it gives you recommendations, dietary recommendations based off of the health conditions that the robot has determined from scanning your face. It also, by the way, adds meal recommendations based off of your horoscope. So in terms of what date it is and what your year of the dragon or year of the horse that you were born, you can then move forward and get your meals based off of that. I think that's really cool. I don't know how well that would go over here in Canada to have your face scanned and then told, oh, here's the
your
meals.
tongue scanned. That's weird.
Yeah.
But if the food tastes good, does anybody care?
I don't know. And I'm not too sure on the science in terms of what you can assess in terms of scanning someone's tongue. Yeah. I know that I'm born with a genetic condition that's often called super taster, meaning that I've got more taste buds and larger taste buds than average. And as a result, food that's bitter for me is super bitter. There are certain things I just can't have. I can't have coffee. To me, coffee tastes like body odor. I've heard, I can't remember his name, the actor who plays the lead role in the TV show Reacher. He also has the same condition. He says he doesn't drink coffee because it tastes like urine to him. I'm like, yeah, I totally get that, dude. So, I mean, at least that's one basis that I can relate to and go, okay, I can see if you scan my tongue, you could, help me avoid the bitter foods. But the rest of it is just rather interesting.
Yeah, that is cool stuff. I don't know if a custom designed food to your palate, maybe one day that's a thing and everything tastes so good. I like that one. Chris Abel is here. Shane Hewitt in the night shift. Pokemon cards selling for lots and lots of money. Turns out you can go stay with Mr. Pokemon too.
So this Friday will be the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. Now that's based on when it first launched in Japan 30 years ago. It didn't come to Canada or the United States until a couple of years later and then became a massive, massive craze. I'm astonished that I'm still talking about Pokemon. I spoke about it 26 years ago and here I am still talking about it again. I've been talking about it longer than Apple. And in fact, I would argue that Pokemon is as much loved and as big of a craze today as when it first launched, whereas Apple's gotten weaker over the years. Mm-hmm. So I can't believe that Pokemon is kind of outperforming Apple in that sense. But yes, in Japan, as part of this anniversary, there are 10 hotel locations where when you go in, the entire room, everything is Pokemon. They got Pokemon bed sheets, they got Pokemon walls. You go into the Pokemon bathroom, you can have a Pokemon shower. When you have food arrived, it's Pokemon-shaped food. It's just crazy. But here's the concept that I think is interesting. They're using that to introduce this concept of rental clothing. Meaning, if you're a Pokemon fan here in Canada and you want to go stay at the Pokemon Hotel, you can only bring, if you want, you can just bring one bag, a carry-on bag with just the clothes that you're wearing. When you arrive in Japan, they will rent you clothes to wear for your entire time in Japan. And then when you go home, you can just go home with one set of clothes in your bag.
Now, I'm not into Pokemon. It just was never my thing. I don't draw any judgment on it. But the notion that you could just rent clothes when you go on vacation and you don't have to worry, that's a good idea, Chris.
I think it's cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I want to wear clothes that somebody else has just worn.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they wash it, rent a tux, right? Stuff like that. I think it's maybe
like getting shoes at the bowling alley. I don't know.
Yeah.
I looked up what I wrote when I first wrote about Pokemon 26 years ago. And my prediction was, it's not as addictive as Tetris, but it's just as fun.
Chris Abel, realchrisabel.com, and on the socials, check out the YouTube channel too, KRISABEL. My friend, as always, good news and always great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift, thank you so much for being a part of the show. 71010, keep the good news coming.